And of course, still talking on African issues and also the international scene. Let's, of course, connect with Mohammed Desai. That's the director of hashtag Africa for Palestine to, of course, shed more light on this. And now, thank you so much for your time, Mohammed.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Now, what is the significance of the Muslim Judicial Council's Halal stand on boycotting goods from Israel in terms of supporting the Palestinian cause?
So the Muslim Judicial Council's Halal Authority in South Africa, which is one of the largest such bodies on the African continent, has adopted a position that it's going to be refraining and refusing to give any sort of certification to Israeli companies or Israeli products, as well as to Israeli-owned foreign subsidiaries that may be operating in South Africa or in other countries. We are welcoming this as an advocacy organization because this forms part of the larger international isolation of the Israeli state that the state which has been experiencing various forms of boycotts and sanctions in the last 10 or 15 years because of its violations of international law and its abuse of Palestinian human rights.
Now, quickly before I let you go, how does this particular stance align with the hashtag, that's Africa for Palestine, position on Israeli-Palestinian conflict? And also, are there any strategies in place to ensure that the boycotting of Israeli goods does not negatively impact consumers or local businesses?
Well, maybe let's start off with the second question. I think that it will have an impact. So this decision to not give certification to Israeli products is going to have an impact on Israeli companies. But the point is really that in the first place, why should we be importing products from Israel when there are various other countries available, much more friendlier nations, also including on the African continent? The whole concept of the boycott of Israel should actually allow us, those of us that live on the African continent, to find our own ways of providing. For example, another example that I'll provide is that many of our raw materials, especially diamonds, gets sent off to Israel where it gets polished and then it gets exported into the European markets. Why can't we have our own beneficiation processing plants within our own countries so that we don't need to go via a third country which is in violation of international law? And so the boycott of Israel really provides us with a creative opportunity to actually empower our own economies and not to be reliant on Western nations. And so whilst it may have an impact, we actually feel that it's going to have a positive impact. And we have already seen, for example, the impact of the boycott and isolation of the Israeli state. Just a few years ago, the United Nations released a report documenting how Israel has lost just over 46% in foreign direct investments over a one-year period as a direct result and consequence of the international boycott. So two things. Firstly, international boycotts do work. They do have an impact. It didn't only serve us during the struggle against apartheid. It is also serving us in terms of Israel's occupation of the Palestinian people. But secondly, the other takeaway from this is that it allows us an opportunity to really empower our own local industries.
Mohammed Desai, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.